Hello, this is Gio. Hey, I have my original Xbox out again, and a little while back I showed you how to replace the drive belt to the disk tray, as you can see here, without actually opening up the Xbox. We basically gained access through the doorway right here, but after I got this tray working, I did discover a couple other issues that I do need to repair. And so I figured I'd do a video of how to open up this Xbox, remove the hard drive, remove the disk drive, and even open up the disk drive if that's interested to you. I may do other videos about how I complete the repairs for the other items I have to fix, but just today I just want to show you how to open up this Xbox, remove some of the components, and put everything back together again. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get the main cover off the unit, and you do that by flipping the console upside down, and you need to remove 6 Torx screws. I believe that they are size 20. And there's 2 right here, as you can see. Now these ones are actually hidden under a label. So if your unit has never been opened up before, you're gonna have to puncture those 2 labels. And then the other 4 are actually under the rubber feet. And you'll have to pull up the edges of those feet to expose those screws. So you'll need the 20 size Torx bit to remove these screws here. So we'll just go ahead and remove the center ones. And they are all long screws, as you can see right here. And then underneath these little rubber pads, you will need perhaps a little small flathead screwdriver, and you just want to carefully pry up the outside edge of the pad and just kind of peel it back. Now it is attached with adhesive, and again, I've removed this one already, but you might need to puncture a little bit of film, and so we'll just remove these 4 screws as well. Do not remove the entire foot because it will kind of, the adhesive will still be generally good after you remove these. And you can just push it back and it should stay okay for now. And so with all 6 screws removed, you want to flip it back carefully, holding the top kind of on. And then you kind of want to wiggle and jiggle it a little bit as you lift up. It might stick, but eventually the whole unit will, the top will come off. And so with the unit open, you'll see the hard disk drive, the storage drive on the right here, and the disk drive on the left. And they're kind of connected with a little ribbon cable. You can just kind of pull this out a little bit like that. And with the hard drive here, you could just pull this cable straight out. Don't worry about breaking it. It just pulls straight out like that. And so the connector, if you zoom into the connector, you'll notice that it has a little notch up on top, so it only goes in one way. And if I get some light on this hard drive connector here, you can see that the connector actually has a notch up on top. And so that's basically where it connects into. So it will only go back in one way. And so with the ribbon cable removed, I want to zoom into this little screw right here. And this is another Torx screw. I believe it's a size 10. And so to remove that, you just want to remove that one screw, and that will help remove the entire hard drive out of its container. Now there's also a power connection here that you could also pull out of the hard drive, and you just kind of wiggle that back and it just pops out. Again, it only goes in one way. It has these little notches up on top, as you can see here, so it will only fit back in one way. And then you could just kind of thread these cables out like this. Like that, and then just lift up like that, and then just lift up the whole thing. And then the whole hard drive in its little tray will come out. Now you could remove the hard drive from the tray just by removing these little Torx screws here and here, but we'll just leave it in the tray for now and just put it aside. Okay, so with the hard drive removed, that will gain you access to another little Torx screw that's right there, as you can see there. And on this side, it's already exposed, but there's one Torx screw right there. And all you need to do is remove those two to remove the tray for the disk drive. And again, I believe this is a number 10 bit, so we'll go ahead and stick this in. And with those two screws removed, you can bring up the whole disk drive with its little plastic enclosure. Now it does have a couple of cables itself. You have the ribbon cable right here, which can also just be simply pulled out like that. Again, it also has a little notch up on top, so we'll put that aside. And then you have the power cable right here, which again just can be pulled out, and it only goes back in one way as well. And with the hard drive and disk drive removed, you have access to the motherboard and also the power board here. I will not remove those today, but in order to remove those, you would first need to remove two cables here. This cable, you just pull them out. You need to remove this cable here. These cables can remain, especially once you disconnected the disk drive, but you could also pull those out. And then there's a series of screws, as you can see here. I'm not quite sure how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10, maybe a couple up there that need to be removed. And then the motherboard will slip out, and you can do work on that board. And once those cables are removed, you could just remove some of the Torx screws on the power board, and that will also come off. Okay, so next I want to focus on the disk drive itself, since there are a number of issues that can go wrong with the disk drive, including that belt issue, which I was able to show you how to do it from the front, but you could also do it by opening up the disk drive. So I'll do that next. Okay, so to get the disk drive out of its little plastic case here, there's two little clips here, one right there and one right there, which you just carefully take the plastic and just kind of pull it out until it pops out. It's not in that tight, but just be careful that you don't break the little holder. You just want to gently just pull it, and the whole unit will come out just like that. And you can see where they're connected there with this right here. Okay, and with the disk drive out of its little case, you want to just flip it upside down, and you will see 4 Phillips screws right here and right here. And you just want to take a small Phillips head to remove each one of those screws. Just like that. Now with those Phillips screws removed, both the bottom case and the upper case should be able to be just kind of wiggled out and removed. Now you may need to manipulate a little bit, kind of hold it on the side like this and kind of wiggle it around, but eventually the top should just pop up. And then if you're interested, this is the laser right here that sometimes needs cleaning. There's also on the back side some potentiometers that you could adjust if you wish. In order to open up the tray from here, there is a little, before you could use a paper clip when it was all together. Now you could just kind of put a screwdriver right here and depress a bit, and that will pop open the disc tray. And that belt that I had removed from the outside is actually very easily accessible right here. You can see the belt right here. And then you can just keep it like that. If you want to close it up again, just kind of push it all the way back. So you normally want to just take a flathead screwdriver and kind of pull this little switch back in place. Hopefully you can see this, just like that. And that will raise the laser up. You don't necessarily need to do that. When you put it in, it should readjust itself, but it's a nice practice to kind of get everything back to normal. So originally you push this in and that shifted this back that way, popped everything out. So just kind of pull it back carefully to get everything back in place. And from there, you could just kind of flip the unit over carefully. You can put it down on its face. The laser is away from the surface there. And then you can just kind of work the back off. It may kind of holds in a little bit, and so you may need to jiggle it. But if you're just careful, you could just lift it up like that, and that's the back of the disk drive. Now, if you're interested in adjusting the potentiometers of the laser, there's several different kinds of lasers. Now, this one is a Samsung brand, and so the potentiometers, one is right there. I believe that's for the CD drive, and this is for the DVD drive. I think there's one version that only has one potentiometer, but again, you would want to use a multimeter to figure out the resistance of those, and maybe I'll show a different video in the future how to adjust that. But if you're interested, that's where those are located. Okay, so that's about all the disassembly I want to show you today. So let's reassemble this and get it all back to normal. So again, the bottom, you want to just flip this back over. There's a little plate on this side that fits on this, and so you just kind of want to fit it in gently like that, and it should you should hear a clip if you kind of push it in. There you go. And then when it's kind of solid and not wiggling, it should be in all the way, and then just flip it over like this. And there should be two sides to this. There's one with a lip and one without the lip. The one without the lip is the front part. And you'll notice that it has these little kind of like little tabs right there. Well, that fits into here. And so you just want to make sure that that fits in properly. So we're just going to flip it in and just kind of lower it so it kind of fits properly. Now, if you look on this side, there's a little ridge here that fits into this little, the tab there. So that kind of how that falls in there. And you can see how these tabs right there will fit in right underneath that lip. Turn around, same thing on this side. This fits okay. So it's all in nice and tight. So kind of squeeze it, nothing's wiggling. We flip it back over, and then replace the 4 Phillips screws. Now there's 2 holes on each side. Those things are just little plastic tabs right there. So the screws go into the one which has the hole. And just tighten them up one by one. Okay, so now to get the disk drive back in its plastic little case, you'll notice a couple of things here. So there's like on one side, this little tube here, you can kind of see, I think it goes all the way through. You can kind of see on the other side, there's a little bit of, that's where that screw was. That's where that other screw was. So this is the front. And you'll notice on this right here, you'll notice that it has a couple of these little stands things. These things, these little stands here, put it into the motherboard in the right orientation. But there's also this little post right here, and this post corresponds to this little hole. So you want to lift it up and essentially fit it into that hole, if you could see it, just like that. And that's the proper positioning for the disk drive in the tray. And then you just leave it here, and you'll notice right here where that little clip tab is there. There's a little clip tab on this side. And so you just want to put it in loosely, make sure everything's straight, and just push straight down. And now these little clips are holding the disk drive properly. Okay, so next we want to plug back in the disk drive to the power plug, which here's the plug, and that will attach to the back of the drive right here. So I can show it to you. Again, it only goes in one direction. So I'm just plugging it in just like this, and just finger pressure just like that. And then the ribbon cable. Again, the ribbon cable has this little notch, and that should go up and will fit into this long slot right here, just with finger pressure. Sometimes it takes some coordination to get it in the right spot. Once it fits just like that, you just push it in just with finger pressure, and when it stops, you're done. Okay, so next we're going to place the disk drive with its tray back in the motherboard. Now I do want to note, you'll notice on one corner here, you'll notice these little plastic little posts right there. There's one right there, there's one right there, there's one right there, and then there's one right there. Now that corresponds to these posts here. So they're kind of these, the bottom of these will fit into these individual posts. So when you put it in, you just want to make sure that you sort of position them so they're right over those little posts. And you might need to wiggle them a little bit until they all fit like that, and it looks flat. Sometimes they kind of sit above those lips of those posts, and it might be a little high in one end or one side. So just kind of look around, make sure when you wiggle it that it's not wiggling and it's in securely. And so next we just use those two 10 Torx screws. Again, you have one right there that's low. You're not putting it in here, you're putting it into that hole down there. And also this one over here, you have one, you're putting it down in that hole right there, not here. So it's just those corner holes. And that's enough to secure the disk tray. Okay, now for the hard drive. Again, we didn't take it out of its plastic enclosure, so we don't have to replace it and replace those screws. So again, the rounded end right here goes forward, and similar to the disk tray, you have these posts here. There's one right there, and that will fit into little posts there and there as well. So now these wires here, the power cable right here, again fits into this little slot right here. So I first want to kind of wiggle those kind of one by one in there, so they're at least out of the way. So you got it like that, and then you can kind of pull up while you lower the tray into its position like that. Not quite in there yet. Like that. Make sure these are up a little bit. Those are good. And so basically this tray here should be flush with the drive. So if you feel here, if one side is lifted up, then you should wiggle it in and make sure that these are kind of flush together. And then you can just take the power cable here and then fish it underneath here, through there. Let me try to, under there, through there. And then it should fit. And so these will fit right here at the edge right here. Again, the power cable only goes in one direction. The notches should be upward. And so you just want to kind of fit it in there. Apply a little bit of pressure. And it's in. I have to readjust these little cables a little bit. I think I need a little more slack here. And there you go, the whole thing's back in. And next you want the ribbon cable to go back in. Again, there's that little notch that should be up high. It gets connected right there. And then you kind of just flip it in there. The power cable's actually in the way a little bit, but we'll get this in like that. And then you just apply a little pressure. And then the ribbon cable is in. Okay, so with the ribbon cable in, you do have one more torque screw here. And again, that goes right here. And that will hold in the hard drive disk. And that's all you need. And then you just take the ribbon cable here and kind of fit it under this little lip right here. So it's flat. So all that's left is the main cover here. Before we do that, I just want to make sure that all these cables are tight. Okay, those are all correct. And then you want to install the Xbox in the proper orientation. So you can read the Xbox while you're looking in the front. You don't want to do it like that, you want to do it like that, and you sort of just lower it into place. You'll notice there's some plastic right here, and so you're just basically kind of like fitting it in on both sides, just like that. And lowering it in place like that. And you might need to wiggle it a little bit. And eventually it should close. If it's kind of lifting up like this, a little bit like that, you want to make sure that it's flush on that side. Flush on that side. And then we just want to flip it over to replace those 6 screws. And again, there's those 2 here. We need to switch the torque bit to the 20 size. Put the 2 that are under the labels here. Now you can remove the labels if you want with some like a heat gun to peel back the labels so you don't actually puncture them. I've noticed those tend to do more damage to the labels than not, so I just punctured. And it's, to be honest with you, if you're gonna open this up, it's out of warranty already. These things are old. So if you're gonna open them up, it's only fair that future owners of this know that. And so if you peel these back and then put it down flush so it's unnoticeable, it's kind of unfair to future owners. So it's better that they know that this has been opened up. And then the last thing you want to do is the 4 screws underneath these little feet. Again, you just want to take a little screwdriver here, carefully lift it up. Don't take the whole thing out, just kind of bend it back. Put the screw in and replace these 4 screws. And then once you're all done, just flip it over, back over again, plug it in to make sure that it works. And sure enough, it seems to work fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button at the bottom of the screen and even consider subscribing to my channel. I have many more videos to come. Bye-bye.